Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Thursday, September 4th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread for today? First two cards we are starting our day off with today, our Four of Cups in its upright in combination with this Hermit card, man, right now. We're going to talk about it. The reason we're going to talk about it is because as a reader, ironically, the Hermit card does not like to make appearances in my spreads. It really is a bit of a hide and go seek card. That and the Queen of Swords, they just don't like making their appearance. I knew that. Like, sorry, I had to pause because a card just flew out of the deck. So that's obviously the next card today. Okay. We'll hold on that. I already told you, I was saying before we started the podcast, the cards didn't want to stay on the table. So immediately I've started the reading and we're just continuing on that theme because that card just flew off the table. I had to pick it back up. So let's talk a little bit about why we're seeing so much of this Hermit energy right now. We have got a lot. The best thing I can describe with this energy is it's a hypersensitive powder keggy kind of energy. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. I'm going to go through it again for you guys if you haven't heard the reasons why. Every single planet right now in Aries is in retrograde. Okay? Every single planet in Aries is in retrograde. Saturn was in retrograde in Aries for the last few days. And if you've been feeling more emotional, more sentimental over the last couple of days, one of the big things that has happened is that Saturn has moved back into Pisces as a result of the retrograde. On one hand, there are benefits to Saturn being in Pisces. It can allow the ability of things moving a little smoother as it relates to time. But what it can also create is a lot of emotionality, particularly and in relationality to the past, because what we effectively have that's happening right now is Saturn and retrograde and Neptune, the two planets that deal heavily upon the past and the present, right? Time, I like to describe Neptune as the identification of the memory bank of time that goes backwards. Saturn, a lot of the energetic march of time forwards. And a lot of the space by which you may be feeling this. I would not be surprised if you're going through a lot of sentimentality as it relates to the way the speed by which the present becomes the past, or how quickly something moves, right? It's a lot of that. I think it's a lot of that emotionality. The emotionality is going to increase because we've got a Pisces full moon coming up. So this is why I'm going to tell you right now, I do not want you harboring on things right now. The one thing we also identify is we've also got a lot of this energy that's currently in Virgo. Now, Virgo energy is absolutely beautiful when it comes to the context of being able to recognize and identify finding perfect. But often the lesson that Virgo has to come here to recognize is the only way we're able to identify and find perfection is when we are able to let go and surrender our opinion of it. It's the profound paradox of perfection, that often our own perception of perfection blinds us from being able to see things that are perfecting. And I feel like that is something that's very important to navigate during this energetic cycle. Okay. And it has a lot to do. And there's a conversation that is evolving in this eclipse cycle in relationality to not, and I keep on hearing it's very, when we work towards our manifestation goals, we should work towards our manifestation goals with an open palm. Why should we walk towards our manifestation goals with an open palm? Because when we become too rigid in relationality to the things that we want, we don't allow ourselves the context of being able to see all the ways we can arrive into the becoming of what we energetically are trying to find. This is often why we talk about a healthy manifestation is not upon receiving, but what you see, the ability to see more than you were able to see before. And that is the energetic work that we often do. This can be really frustrating for us, right? I want you to think upon, those modalities or those moments in the past where you potentially felt like something wasn't working out for you, right? But often, and again, it's working through the understanding of patience, which is navigating our energetic frustration, that allows us to be able to identify and refine what we're doing in a different way, or how we're trying to do something in a different fashion. And so I feel like there's a lot of this type of energy that we're working through with this full moon. Now, I'm going to say this very, very strongly. If you are not feeling in a healthy place, I do not want you to push yourself out of your comfort zone so far out because you feel like you need to activate on every single energetic experience that we're having. This is an anomalous eclipse season. And the reason I keep on describing it as an anomalous eclipse season is there's a lot of anomalies that are piling up on top of each other as we enter the eclipse process. I'm going to say this again. Eclipses do not have a certain vibe. This is why we talk about the fact that they are unpredictable, because they are amplifiers. They just increase what is there. No two eclipses are alike for this reason. But the reason I keep on describing this as an anomalous eclipse, as it were, is because we are seeing and recognizing a lot of anomalies that are occurring as we enter the eclipse cycle. What are some of those anomalies? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6. We've got 5 planets in retrograde now. There's going to be a 6th one that goes into retrograde right before the full moon hits. Okay. We've got a lot of the planets that are resting in Aries. Again, that's very, very energetically anomalous. And we're going through a Virgo season with Virgo in Mercury. So it's very, very heavy in Virgo and working through Virgo. There's potentially a deep inclination in this energetic frequency right now to want to over internalize things. Okay. I like to describe, it's needling energy. Okay. It's working through a lot of little things that compound that make one feel like the desire to energetically over-internalize something. One of the things that helps us through our cycles is being able to take a piece of advice from the full moon that we just came out of. And what was that full moon telling us? What was that Aquarian full moon in Leo saying? When we want to over-internalize, we put compassion in situations by stepping back and having a sense of perspective, right? And the ability to have compassion does not necessarily require one to be nice about things. It's about to articulate, communicating of passion is articulating upon why something is energetically important to the self. This is why I keep on telling you that this is the culmination point of a lot of those temperance relationships. That's been the partnership cycle that we saw that was starting from about the solstice period over the summer up until the present day. For a lot of these energies, that frustration, the observation of the mutual effort that pays back in dividends as it relates to healthy relationship. This is a lot of the energy that is observing and recognizing that work, as it were. But it's not easy because I see 3 different modalities that are occurring right now in separation. I see a very small margin of relationships that are healing right now in the space of being able to address the past. What is the context by which the past is being healed right now? The observation of bringing an overproportionality to a situation that did not warrant it. Right? That is the type of healing that we're potentially seeing during the culmination of these temperance relationships. Because when we feel disproportionate to something that is irrelevant, then the ability to take energetic accountability for it allows us to build into pathwork of restoration, because it's the understanding of often, right? Like what happens when we feel a lot of emotionality upon something that isn't necessarily significant. That is us healing our egos, right? So there is potentially some restoration that's happening right now via the healing of egos, or the observation of looking upon something from the past and observing how far one has come. What time cannot heal are spaces or places where we feel a lot of emotionality upon something because it was energetically fundamental, because it was something that was fortifying of the self, because it was something that is energetically important. We can usually define these because we wish that we did not feel the way that we did. It's a lot of like, alas, the feelings that come up sometimes require us to walk away from things that we would rather not walk away from, but feeling very emotional in the process. Time heals this too. But time heals us in those contexts by helping us understand the perspective on why we felt as strongly as we did. That is fortified in the well of time rather than energetically dissolved by it. And this is why I'm going to tell you right now, if these were situations where someone during this retrograde cycle, where someone came back to someone from the past and said to them, "Are you done being emotional yet?" I would not be surprised if that is the closing out of an unhealthy cycle, with someone saying, "I was never being emotional. I was being fundamental." It wasn't something that was irrelevant. It was something that has become even more important as one proceeds upon one's healing journey. So for a lot of the energy, I would not be surprised if there's energy in separation that's moving away from this energetic cycle, frustrated but fortified. But this is why we talk about the fact that one of the first things you'll feel as you're healing is frustration, because as we feel frustration, we heal trauma. It's the observation and understanding of what is occurring that allows us to be able to heal in a better capacity. While for a lot of these new relationships, the relief and release that is occurring right now has to do with recognizing someone who has the resolve to move towards their manifestation. Why are we effectively seeing this? Because for a lot of those relationships, that ability of being able to energetically observe, to be able to recognize and identify, not just articulating upon what one is trying to do in a greater fashion, but putting that measure of effort towards it, potentially even having something from the past arrive to try to confound the relationship spiritually, energetically, or tangibly. But do we see any of that confounding that's occurring in those modalities right now? No. This is a lot of the energy that is feeling the validation and being able to recognize the articulation point of building into healthy relationship where they're feeling energetically fortified. And this is very important for energy that may be in a space of recovery from experiences in the past where they tried to create relationship with someone that claimed that they were healing from something. But when the past came back, it became revealed that they were only energetically waiting for something. This then brings us into the energy that is deep within divine union. I mean, we're moving deeper into divine union, but that's the thing about it. We're getting a lot of shifting energy right now. So a lot of that magician partnership is moving deep within divine union at this time. The center card that flew out of the deck, which makes a lot of sense, is that Page of Wands in its transverse. Now remember, one of the reasons we're seeing the Page of Wands in its transverse right now is a lot of the energy right now moving deeper into partnership is clearing the air around relationship via the frustrating act of having to compare something in the present to the past, which they would rather not do, which is why I keep on hearing that a lot of those relationships are working through chirality lessons, or being able to energetically recognize and observe the difference between something that may look similar from the outside, but is very different from the inside. So for a lot of the energy that is doing that work, that observation, the ability to have to almost unpack something from the past that they feel rather disinclined to talk about, it feels reaffirming, because even in the fact that they feel disinclined to want to compare it to the present, they see how far they've come. They're moving even deeper on their healing journey. This brings us to the 5th and 6th card of our 5-card spread today, the energy deep within divine union. We have here our 9 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our King of Swords in its reversal. This is very important to notate this King of Swords should look familiar. We had this King of Swords out in yesterday's reading. So it's always interesting to notate and recognize the similarities that we're experiencing from one day to another in relationality to the cards. Now, one of the things that we were identifying, now you'll recall, and I want to say yesterday, this card was in its upright at the first row. Now it's in its transverse upon the second. I'm not surprised to see that, because one of the things that and I want to stress this too, we also had the Page of Wands yesterday that was in very similar proximity to where we see it today. Both of these cards were primarily or previously in the second row. They've moved into the top row. So what does that say? There's a lot of energy that is working through processing things right now. Now, for the energy that is for masculine energy, I want to define this in the space. And I think it's really intriguing too, because the energy has effectively flip-flopped in directionality to where they lay right now on the table. Yesterday, masculine was in more of the area of the left of the table, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. Now masculine's on the right. I feel like that's giving us a lot of indications that this hermit energy that we're potentially seeing has more to do with the feminine energy. But what I think that is also very important to notate or recognize right now is this is almost a continuation of the places that we saw these cards yesterday. You'll recall that yesterday we had the feminine energy in High Priestess in its reversal with a Four of Pentacles. We see feminine almost occupying that same space right now in relationality to the Four of Cups with the Hermit card. Very similar. This is good because this is talking about the fact that this is speaking towards the communication of masculine and feminine. So we see even now masculine is occupying more of a state of where we found feminine yesterday. Because again, the King of Swords in combination with the Ten of Cups in its reversal feels very, very similar to our High Priestess in its reversal in combination with our Four of Pentacles. For masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union, there's something very fundamental and important as it relates to the ability to express and communicate upon this time. Yesterday's center card was the King of Wands in its reversal. That card is transformed today into our Page of Wands in its transverse. So this is saying to me that what we're effectively identifying that's happening today is this is a day of a lot of inner child healing. What has been the change? The moon has moved into Aquarius. And a lot of the space that we recognize, remember when I was saying the last 2 days were probably the days that we're feeling most energetically productive? Some of this Page of Wands in its transverse almost says that there's a little bit more of a dreamy quality to the energy that we're experiencing today. I would not be surprised if there's something that is energetically occurring right now that is bringing up a lot of conversation or emotionality as it relates to the past, or the ability, and it's interesting too, because someone asked a really beautiful question before we started the podcast, which was, why do we sometimes feel like there's the energy from the past that follows us forward? The observation and being able to recognize and understand how we change in relationality to energetic connections often is indicative in helping us recognize our own process of energetic maturation. Sometimes, and I need to express this, sometimes in the space by we feel energetically restored by something is the space by which we recognize the context of feelings that don't change. But often it is very common as we're going through healing journeys to have or to create, I keep on hearing, the complexity of emotion that often predicates and articulates upon, how do I describe this best? In like a unique experience, as it were. And so even in the context of being able to recognize and identify that, I keep on hearing like a lot of the energy I feel like today is like a day of communicating upon the refinement and nuance of the complication of an intriguing self, or an intriguing experience, if you were. So I keep on hearing like there, and I feel like it's a lot of that Virgo energy. Remember when I said Mercury is in Virgo right now? So Mercury in Virgo has a tendency of becoming and being very energetically specific upon things. There's a specificity to Mercury being in Virgo that is really exceptional. So I feel like that I can almost see that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, I feel like this is the energy that's like refining upon dreams right now, or building into the context of nuance, or even articulating upon the nuances, as it were. So for a lot of the energy here, and I want to describe this too, I feel like it's very important, because for a lot of that energy that's been working in the context of the self, one of the big hurdles that we see of going through this particular retrograde cycle is the feeling of potentially over internalizing upon things. And how do we heal from over internalizing upon something? We articulate upon it, we speak towards it. And so I keep on seeing that this is, and I want to keep on articulating this. There's an overriding tendency in the type of energy that we are experiencing that almost like feels the inclination. It's like the inclination of holding, of articulating, or energetically holding back. Remember what I said that? Like, remember how we saw even yesterday, I was explaining that seeing the high priestess in its reversal wasn't necessarily a bad thing, because when we see things like the high priestess in its reversal, it allows the context in order to be able to articulate and define upon something that has energetic meaning to us, right? I feel like there's a lot of that. I keep on hearing there's a lot of that ability to refine upon or articulate on things right now that is helping. I almost see it's like helping the energy deep within divine union perfect upon energetic purpose, continuing to get clarification between our Four of Cups in its upright in combination with our Hermit card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. We've got the Ace of Swords in its reversal. This is a continuation of what we were talking about yesterday. This is why it's really important that when we're working towards a manifestation goal, we don't get too fixated upon how we imagine it to energetically be, right? Because what we effectively identify and recognize that often, like I keep on hearing, when we get too specific in terms of the ability to refine upon a manifestation goal, we energetically hurt our own feelings, is what I keep on getting. We energetically hurt our own feelings because it's the space by which we're able to adapt upon or build upon energetic observation, right? It is the ability to understand that we don't find manifestation goals, we arrive to them, right? It's the space by which we move towards them in that capacity. And so I keep on seeing, one of the things that I see that is happening right now, remember when I said that there's a culmination point that's occurring in some of these, in either the closing out of an unhealthy cycle as energy moves into the next energetic cycle that we're going to be moving towards, or the energy is building into new energetic connections, is either like, and I keep on seeing there's some energy right now that's closing out an unhealthy energetic cycle, saying something along the lines of another person saying, you're perfect, ruined something energetically beautiful, right? Which is the space by which when we are too focused, like, right, when we're too focused or fixated upon how we demand something to be, we damage the possibility of what can energetically arrive around us. And that's why I keep on seeing that this is what I meant about those relationships where there may have been some kind of energetic volatility that demarcated a separation point, right? Someone moving away from something because another person was energetically emotional, trying to come back and saying, "Are you done being emotional?" Another person saying, "I was being fundamental." This is the energy that is, again, healing trauma by being able to articulate upon the nature of the unhealthy energetic connection that was potentially demanding perfection instead of compassion. Remember, we were talking about the culmination of a lot of those closure points is healthy partnership. We don't put demands on the potentiality of the energy within it. We set our sights on the desire in terms of where the relationality of the relationship should go. Now, for a lot of the energy right now, it's not the fact that I don't see that there are some energies that are restoring in this connection, in this energy, but the energy that is restoring in this connection is the space by which someone brought an overproportionality of emotion to something that was minute, unnecessary, or inconsequential. While for the energy that's moving deeper into union right now, this is the relief and release that they're energetically feeling, potentially even sharing with each other the doubts or the fears that they had in relationality to the difference between hearing someone articulate something that they were healing from versus seeing them move in accordance to it. So I keep on seeing it's like it's very emotional, but it's also very energetically affirming. Continuing to get clarification between our Hermit card in its upright and our Page of Wands in its transverse. We have here our Five of Wands in its reversal. I like to see the Five of Wands in its reversal right now. Why do we like to see the Five of Wands in its reversal? Because the Five of Wands in its reversal in combination with the Ace of Swords is telling us more about kind of the continuation and the journey of navigating towards, and I keep on hearing, working through the context of energetic surrender is not the space by which you give up. It's the space by which you don't try to energetically force things. And what do we mean by forcing things? It's a continuation, and I'll tell you right now, the reason that this is potentially coming up right now for some of those magician relationships is, remember how I said that a lot of those relationships were moving something with greater rapidity into partnership. They were speeding up timelines about a month ago. There were a lot of relationships that were coming together, that have been coming together right now. And there was a bit of a surprise energy that we saw in relationality to some of those connections, and the ability to, I keep on saying, the ability to articulate and explain to energy outside of partnership the difference between rushing a process out of a state of desperation, the anxiety one feels that a relationship is breaking down, so you're trying to move it into deeper partnership more quickly, versus a situation or circumstance where energy is not moving something quickly into something because it's wrong, but because it's so right. That clarification point is almost triggering a contemplation. But even in the observation and recognition of how much someone has changed, it's almost, I keep on hearing, it's almost like the contemplation of something that used to be all another person spoke about, but rather and instead is now in the context of something that one would rather feel disinclined to do, is further affirmation in relationality to one's own energetic healing process. This brings us to a lot of the energy that's deep within divine union. Clarification between our Page of Wands and its transverse in combination to our Nine of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify. Ten of Wands in its upright. A lot of wands here today. And I keep on seeing a lot of that communication that we're potentially seeing that is occurring during this retrograde. I'll tell you right now, I'm just going to say this. This is not the type of energy to be harboring things in. This is not the type of energy to be, like I keep on seeing, It's not the type of energy to be biting your tongue on something, because if you're feeling like that right now and then the energetic feeling intensifies, it can create a lot. I keep on saying it can create a lot of that feeling of potentially, I keep on hearing, if you're hoping like something will ease up, it's probably going to energetically intensify. But that's why I keep on hearing in healthy partnership, there's no harboring. We don't harbor in healthy partnership. We energetically communicate. We work through energetic hurdles. We articulate upon them. We express upon them so that we can arrive to a better understanding of ourselves and our counterparts. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy, doing that work, that ability to, I keep on seeing, articulate and communicate is almost creating the space by which, remember when I said we've got that Aquarian full moon? It is the refinement point in relationality, in being able to articulate and define how one is trying to do something. And I keep on hearing, when we articulate upon nuance, we become energetically comprehensive, because the ability to become energetically comprehensive is the ability, not I keep on hearing, not just to comprehend it, but also to energetically understand it, which is the ability to also articulate it to another person. So I feel like there's a lot of that. It's interesting too, because this trine that we've got here, let me show you this trine between the Page of Wands, right? The Page of Wands with the Five of Wands in its reversal, with the Ten of Wands in its upright, is effectively the conversation in relationality to, right? When we work through, like I keep on saying, when we work through the burden of our own awkwardness, right? When we get over, like when we get over the hump, if you will, of our own like energetic discomfort, we allow the context of deeper understanding upon things. So that's what I meant in relationality. It's interesting because I almost see a space where a lot of that energy deep within divine union is not, and this is why I keep on hearing, this is why we don't take each other's discomfort personally, is what I keep on seeing. The space by which I keep on hearing, like the space by which we don't take one another's discomfort personally is the context by which we are able to articulate and amplify or energetically build into the space of energetic clarity. So there, and that's what the one thing I want to be conscientious about, and this is what I meant. This is what I'm really going to be strong about right now. I'm going to keep on saying this. If you are being sensitive about something, okay, and you're worried that you're being overly sensitive upon it, the best way to be able to recognize if it's something that you need to heal on the inside or need to heal it on the outside, whether it's something that you need to work on within the self, like a little bit of the egoic shield healing, or something that you need to process outside the self, is do you feel comfortable articulating why something energetically bothers you? Okay. That is the baseline. Our mouths are blessed because our mouths help us identify where the work must be placed. It's the ability, it is the space by which we are able to recognize and identify what that, like what the shape of the work that we're trying to do as it relates to building into something in a better way. So it's our team. I keep on saying there's a lot of work that's happening right now in relationality to articulating, defining inside problems versus outside problems, something that one needs to work on within the self or something that one is experiencing outside of the self. And I keep on seeing, even in the space of that, healthy partnership helps us calibrate that, is what I keep on seeing. Continuing to get clarification between our Nine of Cups in its reversal in combination with our King of Swords in its reversal. Can I please get one card? Oh my gosh, I said one. Okay, sorry. The cards are hopping today. There were like 5 cards that were trying to come out of the deck. I'm like, no. Okay. We've got here our 8 of Pentacles in its upright. So let's talk a little bit about this 8 of Pentacles energy, shall we? This is a little bit of a hanger on to that Capricorn full moon, that Capricorn moon energy that we were moving away from. And I do feel, I want to say, um, the the one thing we have to be conscientious about, um, I'm going to tell you that there's something coming through that's very energetically important in relationality to setting energetic expectations is what I keep on seeing. Because I keep on defining this right now. Remember how I said that the eclipses have a tendency of amplifying things? Um, the ability the ability to the ability to make something effortless requires a lot of work is the message that's effectively coming through, which is when we see something. And I feel like this is the type of stuff that may come up, like that may come up during this retrograde cycle, which is it's the observation or the identification point of understanding. I keep on hearing something that we do effortlessly, that feels like it's energetically effortless, is often the result of putting countless hours. I keep on hearing countless hours of energetic work towards something, right? It's a conversation on what it takes to be able to be in the space of being energetically elegant. And elegance is funny, because elegance is something that feels like, often those moments that feel like they're the most energetically, like someone's able to do something that looks so energetically simple, but then in the context of when another person tries to do it, is it's like the space by which one is able to amplify and notice the energetic difference is often the space by which we appreciate. And I keep on hearing the appreciation that we often hold towards one another is how simple we make something that can be so energetically difficult, right? It's like I keep on seeing it's the way by which we often create that force of energetic compassion for one another. So I feel like, and the reason I feel like this is coming through right now as it relates to the energy that we're currently experiencing, is there's a lot to be said in that vibration with the energy that is coming into partnership. You'll recall that for a lot of those temperance relationships, these are the relationships that are being built upon and based upon mutual effort. But what does mutual effort often look like, right? What looks like mutual effort on the surface is the result of energy that is incredibly empathic and mindful and constantly calibrating, right? Like that is the beauty of mutual effort. It sounds easy, right? But it's not easy, because mutual effort is perpetual calibration. And this is why these relationships feel so energetically secure as they move deeper into partnership, because I see even now they're sharing more with one another. I almost see, like, up until this point, they were potentially, I keep on seeing, they were keeping a part of themselves in check. Why were they keeping a part of themselves in check? Because they were checking, because they heard the articulation point of another person defining the energetic direction that they were moving towards, but they're feeling energetically reaffirmed in that energetic space by being able to recognize and identify the space by which another person wasn't just articulating upon what it was that they were healing from, but they're also moving in the direction of it. So that's why I see that this is the energy that's moving deeper into partnership as a result of it. For a lot of energy right now in separation, that's what I meant. If there's energy here, if there are situations or circumstances where it's the opposite happening for some of the energy still in separation right now, if this is some kind of situation where someone really thought that they could put a timer on something and expect some kind of emotionality that they saw was confounding a relationship to go away, that's what I meant. Like, this is the energy. This is the retrograde of rude awakenings. because it is the observation and the understanding that time does not wash away places of emotionality where we feel our energetic standards to live. So for a lot of the energy in that experience, the healing that is happening for the energy in separation is being able to release trauma around a situation that used to devastate them because it was confounding them. But now they're able to see in the context of someone coming back and saying, are you done having those pesky feelings that are getting in the way of my manifestation goal? The observation of potentially another person having different standards than them that allows them to release and relief as they continue on their own healing journey. For the energy moving deeper into divine union right now, those magician partnerships that are moving deep, like moving deeper into divine union, clarification between our Ace of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Five of Wands in its reversal. We have here our Nine of Swords in its upright. Now, why do we see the Nine of Swords here? The Nine of Swords are here because you'll remember that for a lot of these magician partnerships, having to move something into a rapid timeline. They're advancing their timelines. They're doing something. They're taking a lot of leaps of faith right now. But I keep on hearing what looks to be a leap of faith for energy outside of partnership feels like a leap of certainty for the energy within it. Right. And that clarification point, the ability to clarify to another, the rapidity, I keep on hearing the rapidness by which they're approaching something that may have been in a previous experience, something that they were speeding up out of a sense of desperation. I keep on hearing the energy that is moving. Look at this. Like every time I read from the magician partnerships, I'm getting this like gesture. I'm moving my hand back and forth because they're dispelling the misconception of desperation by explaining that it's not the rapidity that's out of a state of desperation, but out of the silliness it feels to wait upon something they feel so energetically certain upon. This brings us to clarification between our Five of Wands in its reversal in combination with our 10 of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Ace of Wands. I like this energy today. Make sure you take a moment, if you're following the podcast, to head over to the stack to see today's spread. It's very beautiful because we've got the Ace of Swords in its reversal and the Ace of Wands in its upright, which speaks a lot about the power of energetic communication. And what's interesting here, and I'm going to tell you this right now, the power of energetic communication that we are identifying upon in relationality to the energy that we see here has to do with articulating upon, and I keep on getting this. We heal wounds of intimacy in the space by which we find the ability to articulate upon something, is what I keep on seeing. There's something very beautiful that we see there. And I want to just identify, I just want to show it to you here. In combination with our Ace of Wands, in combination with the Page of Wands in its reversal. Now, why do we see the significance between the Ace of Wands with the Page of Wands in its transverse, not the reversal, it's transverse? Because it speaks to us. That is a conversation that speaks to us about how difficult it can be to articulate upon the self, right? This is what we mean by inner child healing, right? Because when we're going through inner child healing, often, what do we often say that predicates the understanding that we're going through an inner child healing process? It's looking back at the self and saying, you sweet fool, you did not understand yourself then. So, you know what I mean? It's a space we look at, and that's what we talk about with this space of empathy. You know, you poor thing, you did not know yourself then. You did not understand yourself energetically fully. And when we're in a healthy space, and this is why I keep on seeing, and this is what I think is important in relationality to that Uranus in retrograde. Because you have to understand, and this is what I mean, it's not like, I'm not necessarily like worried about the Uranus in retrograde so long as you've been doing your inner child healing effectively. Because in Uranus in retrograde often is a demarcation point on how much we have changed. But we're supposed to energetically change. Like that's the thing that's significant about it, right? The journey of becoming ourselves is the continual unfolding of being able to recognize and identify how far we have energetically come. Like it is the demarcation point in being able to articulate upon that transformation as being something that is profound. It is something that is energetically revelatory. But when we're not in a healthy space, right? And this is often what we work through. Like the fact I keep on hearing, the fact by which we feel that we are changing is often demarcated in the context of others articulating their disappointment to us. But this is why we continue to speak upon the fact that a healthy relationship is one that we don't hold the energetic ideals towards the energy in partnership so much as we do the relationship itself, because it is the space by which we celebrate and welcome the energetic transformations that occur within it, right? It's a continual understanding of that. And so I see even now that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, remember I said that for some of that energy, it's working through the energy that might not necessarily be navigating this energy as effectively? Because what can you usually anticipate if you're going through a retrograde season like this and you're not, case in point, and you're not necessarily in the best mindset? You can have a lot of temperamentality, right? You can have a lot of reactivity. You can have a lot of that energetic projection that occurs, right? It's like I keep on seeing, and that's why we keep on getting the difference between passion and compassion. When we are fueled by passion, we have fits of passion, right? We have non sequitur fits of passion that often feel like they lack any sense or reason. But when we feel something important and we're able to impress upon it, we're able to derive and identify and articulate upon the meaning of it. I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now, deep within divine union, there could be conversations about the difference between deep compassion, right? Which is compassionate passion versus fits of passion, which is something that feels something that feels unnecessary, that is often indicative of another person not doing the internal work within the self. So I feel like that's interesting because there's a lot of communication that's coming into play for the energy deep within divine union. And I got to tell you, that's why I said, make sure you go take a look at today's spread, because there's this very, very interesting bundle of wand energy, as it were. I'm going to call it like the bundle of wand energy that we have that is resting in the center of this spread. Continuing to get clarification between our 10 of wands in its upright and our 8 of pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. We've got here the Hierophant in its reversal. I'm not surprised to see this card either. This card was in yesterday's spread in the same exact position, almost in the same placement. It was center yesterday. Oh, this is fascinating. It was center yesterday. It's off to the right. And also, so I got to tell you, and again, go make sure you compare yesterday's reading to today's, because yesterday, the 9 of swords that we see today was not only in the exact same position, but it's in the exact same placement that it was yesterday. That is again, I told you, that is very anomalous. That's very energetically unique. So I feel like there's something important that we see that is occurring here as it relates to the ability to resolve energetic hurdles now. It's like working, I keep on hearing, it's like working through, it's like it's giving me like runway energy, right? It's like working through energetic hurdles in order to do something effectively. In order to, I keep on hearing like in order to like effectively allow for the space by which one has the ability to, I keep on seeing like the ability to feel energetically like free to communicate. So I wouldn't be surprised right now for energy in separation, clarification between our Nine of Swords and its upright in combination with that Ace of Wands energy and its upright. Yeah, there's that six. I was waiting for this Six of Wands to come up. You guys, you have to go see this bundle of wands that we have right now in the center of the spread. The Six of Wands that we're effectively identifying here has to do, I keep on hearing, it has to do with working through energetic, I keep on hearing, it has to do with working through energetic hurdles. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy, I feel like what's beautiful for a lot of the energy that is coming into divine union, like there's two different modalities that I'm seeing right now for energy and separation. There's either the modality of energy that is feeling frustrated but fortified because they now are able to articulate upon something that was traumatizing them. It's the experience by which they're able to heal and release to a deeper context because they're getting the full shape of what it was that they energetically experienced, particularly and especially if there are experiences where someone's coming back from the past to see if someone's emotionality has wavered on something that was important or fundamental to them. It's like I keep on saying, like, that's a lot of the energy working through the energetic frustration of that occurring, but feeling energetically fortified by it, right? It's, I told you, it's a frustration that fortifies because it does not devastate, because it does not create trauma, because one understands what is occurring. While for the energy that is moving into divine union right now, this is potentially talking to one another about the doubts and fears that they may have had or experiences in the past where someone articulated that they were healing from something, but in fact it appeared that they were actually energetically waiting upon something. And that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy, like I can see them, like I almost feel like they're going through the process of being able to fully be open to one another because they feel fully safe in the embrace of the counterpart that is not only articulating upon the manifestation goal, but also embodying it. This brings us to a lot of the energy moving deeper within divine union. I told you, Ace of Wands with Hierophant in its reversal is more of that same this, not that energy that I was articulating, that I was seeing for the energy coming into divine union. Clarification on those cards right now are, we have here our Two of Swords in its upright. It's a lot of this, like, I keep on seeing that there's something important that's happening right now for the energy in coming in, like the energy within union, moving deeper into divine union. In working through, I keep on seeing when I keep on hearing, and that's why I kept on calling it healthy static, if you will, because healthy static is often the difference between someone like checking upon something or asking an energetic question. But what I keep on seeing that's helping to fortify some of the energy in this experience or in this modality is being able to say to another person, I understand how something may appear similar, but it could not be more energetically different. Right? This is often what is difficult when we're going through chirality healing, because something that might not necessarily have been nourishing for us can look very similar to something that is very energetically restorative to us. So that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy, not being frustrated as they're having to do that work to articulate and define the energetic difference between the past and the present. It's frustrating, but it's also stabilizing the energy surrounding partnership. And when we are working to build healthy partnership, we often start to prioritize stabilizing the energy around it to make sure that there's energetically clarity in terms of creating a supportive energetic environment for the partnership to thrive. So we see even now that, like, I keep on seeing like that's the energy that is like working to a certain extent to, I told you, like dispel the misconception around the partnership if there's something that looks similar to something that was not supportive, by helping them say, I understand the context by which you may have been concerned about that, but let me alleviate that by telling you that this is not something that one is moving into deeper union for the sake of trying to fix it, but rather because of a point of energetic celebration upon it. This brings us to the energy deep within divine union, which again, this energy right now is most frustrating for energy deep within divine union because it's working really hard in not over internalizing. Right? This type of energy right now has a deep inclination of requiring or causing the space by us wanting to internalize upon things. But that's why I keep on seeing, and that's again, like I keep on hearing the counterparts deep within divine union are doing the work of that recent full moon. And what was that recent full moon in Aquarius telling us? When we want to take something personally, we build into the context of perspective, right? Like we don't overly internalize. We get energetically comprehensive. Clarification between our Six of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Two of Swords in its upright. We have here our Three of Pentacles in its upright. I like to see this card here to close out our reading today. We also had this card yesterday. So it's nice that we see a lot of stabilization that's occurring in the relationality between the cards that we had yesterday to the cards that we had today. Because one of the things I told you that is very important to do in this type of energy is making sure that we feel stable and energetically grounded as we approach that eclipse season, right? There's a lot of this. I keep on saying there's a lot of this, and like the one thing about this particular retrograde cycle is that it is wearing. The reason that it's wearing is because it's going on for an incredibly long time. Everyone keeps asking me when retrograde season is going to end, like there's a date that all of these planets are going to dip back out of retrograde. It's going to end slowly. I hate to say that, but it's just the truth. The planets did not all come together and gang up and say, okay, on this date, we're all going to go retrograde. They all went into retrograde at different times. It just happens. That's why I mean it's anomalous. It just happens. The fact that we're going through a profound amount of retrogrades all at the same time. They're all coming out of it at different times, some sooner, some later. So the ability, and that's what I keep on hearing, like this type of energy is not the type of energy to be holding your breath. Okay. What you want to be focusing on is wherewithal. Okay. Which is not the space of going, oh, I don't feel great right now, but maybe if I just it'll be fine. Wherewithal is the ability to be able to navigate it and effectively, like, again, make the energetic best by it, or just kind of move through it, building into that energetic resilience upon it. So I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union, working through this energy and having, like, what are the energies giving each other? They're supporting each other to help find wherewithal, right? Which is the space by which one identifies and understands that sometimes, I keep on hearing, it can feel very quiet. It can feel like not a lot's going on. We get very over internal. We get very frustrated that things aren't happening on the timeline that we would expect, or things aren't happening the way that we would identify or expect them to. What is wherewithal? We have to have wherewithal when one is moving towards a manifestation goal, because wherewithal says to us a let go, right? And I like to point this out. It's not a question of abandoning hope, but it's the space by which you bring hope and a release of expectations allows one to celebrate what one is moving towards, because it is the observation of being able not to look at the world around you like a lot of problems, like not looking at the world around you like a lot of problems to your energetic ideal, but to the observation of what you can do to try to move something into the space by which one can make something energetically blessed, right? It's a lot of that. It's like it's working through the context of surrender is not about giving up. It's about letting go of the preconceived notions of one's own expectations to arrive at the celebration of what could potentially be before you. But you cannot see potential if you're blinded by your own expectations. So again, make sure that you're not feeling confounded in this energetic frequency. Make sure that you are navigating it from a space of hope and curiosity, because I keep on seeing like that's a little bit of the work that we see that often arrives to us when we're going through Aquarian energy, and we're in that Aquarian moon cycle right now, which is like, and I feel like Aquarian moon cycles are like, that's odd, that's interesting. Not the space by which one says not the space by which one disassociates, but by which one is able to bring that. I keep on hearing we can be propelled by our own energetic intrigue, because it's the understanding of the space by which we are able to articulate upon something that allows us, I keep on hearing, that allows us to come up with something new, or allows us to think about something in a different way. And this is kind of a gift that I see that the counterparts are giving each other in partnership, by being able to say, don't get hard, don't get hard in the face of energetic adversity. Get creative, right? That was like what the full moon in Aquarius was teaching us. Bottom of the deck, again, another card from yesterday's reading. We've got here our Seven of Swords in its reversal, which is, again, the exact same position that we saw this card in yesterday's reading. So for a lot of the energy right now that we're seeing, especially with this Seven of Swords, I feel like there's a lot of that work that we're identifying and recognizing in relationality to working through the context of the past that is hard to let go of. This is how trauma affects us, right? And this is why we often talk about, and I need to stress this, never when we're working through a space of trauma should we ever say to someone, you should just let go of that. As if one could. As if one was carrying trauma out of a space of choice. The trauma is something that we carry because if we could let go of it, we eagerly would. So we eagerly would. But also, and this is a space by which we don't project our trauma onto others, right? Which is the space by which I keep on seeing the understanding of compassion is not the space of projection. There is nothing crueler in this world than the voice within us that says, if I had to go through something, so too should you. What is that? What part of love articulates that if we go through something energetically painful, we should arrive to some kind of energetic celebration point in experiencing another person having to go through that? Like, this is what I mean with Chiron being in retrograde. Right? Sometimes Chiron being in retrograde shines a really close light in terms of how the shape that we see one another in. Because the space by which we articulate, right? The space of love is the space that says, I carry it so you don't have to, right? The work that we do so much in the space of love is the work that is built upon what is energetically important. It's the work by which we articulate. And that's the energy that we don't say, why aren't you carrying this for me? But almost the space by we say, I'm sorry, my shoulders aren't strong enough to bear it. So one of the things I want to articulate about this is I don't want you navigating this retrograde trying to take on more than you feel that you actually can. Compassion sometimes makes us feel energetically rigid, that we can't take on more. But I need to stress this. When we care about one another and we see someone that articulates their own energetic inability of doing something, we don't take that personally. We understand and appreciate the space by which we find one another. So I'm going to say even now, I'm going to keep on repeating what I've been saying in relationality to this retrograde. Don't assume things during this retrograde. Don't take things personally, because there's a lot of heightened sensitivity that's happening right now. The ability to articulate through it, to communicate upon it, is what allows us the context of a breakthrough. So make sure that you're having those points of a communication, and make sure, I keep on hearing, like, make sure you're not just trying to like white knuckle through something. Make sure that you're building into the space where you're having healthy, I keep on hearing, healthy channels by which to move through your energetic frustration, not just in the space of not just in the space that you're feeling like you're carrying the weight of it. Because often when we feel like we're carrying the weight of it alone, we have that tendency to internalize, and we want to be very conscientious about not going into hermit mode too much during this energy at this time. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Tower card. There has been a time change to, just in time for this retrograde period that's doing wonky things with time, there's been a time change to the class. The class we will be hosting will not be on Wednesday, September 17th. It will be on Thursday, September 18th. Thursday, September 18th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the star card. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in related to any of the classes that we've taken thus far. And if you'll also have access to over 9 hours worth of material between now and the next class, and it's not necessary to catch up, but if you wanted to catch up, now is a great time to join, because you'll have a couple of days before that class to be able to take any of those classes that you wanted to get more information on. You'll also have access, if you become a founding member, not only will you have access to the full Tarot Church Library class archive, which is 17 hours worth of material in an ever-expanding library. You'll also have a discount on the full year's worth of readings, of classes. You'll also have access to a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey, to give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. I'll also post my Mystic Meditation articles there. I'll be releasing one this week on helping you navigate this full moon effectively. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or biweekly, as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or biweekly, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to offer weekly dream interpretation readings now, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or biweekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.